We're going to talk about the body systems today, and I'm here with Deborah Bruce, who is one of our trainers and educators on the AO scan system. The body scan system was put together because it makes it easier for us to do our scans after we've done our initial scans. You know, we have the vital scan, which is basically taking a look at the frequencies of our biochemistry in our body. On the comprehensive, we're looking at the frequencies of the muscular organs, the skeletal, the tissue. So two different scans, but they're very big systems, robust, and to the point where the information can be overwhelming at times. So the body system scan was created to make it easier for you as you go through this or with your clients to get down to the causes of what's causing the disruptions in your body. For example, if I wanted to do a scan of my circulatory system and I didn't have the body systems scans, I would have to go into my vitals and find out every single item in the vital scans that would relate to my circulation. I would then have to do the exact same thing in comprehensive. Setting that up would take about 15 minutes to go through, find everything, set it up, then scan it, then optimize it. Same with each one of the other systems that we have. So we put the body system scans in there so that you could get in and do your circulation. For example, if I want to check my circulation, which is important for me, I'll do my circulation, Deb, and I'll also add with that my digestion, because those two work hand in hand. I can go in and deselect everything, select circulation and digestion, hit scan, and in less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I have that scan and it's been optimized. Whereas that would have taken me close to 15 to 20 minutes to do if I was doing it the other way. So the body system scan is to help you when you're scanning yourself or when you're scanning a client to get down to just what you want to look at without having to go through all the other stuff. It's not so overwhelming. And that's why we have Deborah here with us today, so that she can kind of go through a report. Now, this particular report that we're going to go through, Deborah, this is of an individual that we scanned remotely. This wasn't somebody sitting in the chair like you are with the headset on. We scanned this individual remotely. And the information that we got from this scan was overwhelmingly in sync with what her medical professionals were telling her. I'll give you a little bit of information on this. This individual was already having some issues with the heart and with the digestion, some emotional issues in tow with that. So all that's already in a disruptive state. And then this individual tripped and fell down a flight of stairs and ended up having to be taken to the ER room in an ambulance. The body system scan was done, and we did the entire 13 scans from the body system scans on this individual while they were in the hospital. And miraculously, she was able to go home 2 or 3 hours later, to the surprise of her doctors and to her family members. So, and what the scan showed us was absolutely lockstep with what the doctors found through the CT scan, the x-rays, and the blood work. So that was pretty impressive to us and to that individual as well. So Deborah, with that in tow, I've got this report printed out here for you. Would you like to take a few minutes and kind of go through this report? Now, before we have Deborah do that, we want you to understand even these scans can be a little overwhelming because it's going to give you causes of physical, chemistry, emotion. But Deborah's going to go through and help you kind of go through that base of information and distill it down to where you can find out really what you need to do and focus on. Now, here's one thing I do want to mention too, is if you see issues in the body system scan, Now you can go into vitals or into comprehensive and drill down on those issues. So this doesn't replace vitals and comprehensive. It's just a tool to help you get to where you need to go quicker. Okay?
Yep.
So Deborah, I'll turn the time over to you.
I'm going to go through this report with you, and I'm just going to share with you different aspects of this report that you would want to look at with all of your clients, all your family, all your patients. We're not going to go into all the nitty-gritty of the chemistry that's in it, because that would change very rapidly from test to test to test. Now, if you saw in those nitty-gritty areas from the blood in the body a theme that was starting to concern you, then you might want to go and get some diagnostic testing done from a caregiver in order to see what's going on. But I just wanted to use this report to really show you some common themes and show you how you can get the most benefit out of it. So I'm going to go through, we have 11 of the body systems here. There's 13, but for the purpose of this filming, we wanted to do these main 11 ones, but you'll always have the other two, the eyes, the ears, and the skin that you can choose as well. So Loran, here on the first one, we have digestive. And the reason I'm starting with digestive is because the gut has such a major impact on the body, period. It contributes to all of the functions, all of the way that the body uses the nutrients to make hormones, to make neurotransmitters. The list goes on and on. So we're going to start with digestive. And the descriptions that you have on the first page, especially if you're new with the scanner and you don't have a medical background, are going to give you some really value as far as information on the basic function of that system. So you want to look through that, and if you have any questions about it, maybe do some research on your own so that you even become more well-versed on what that system does. In this particular test, what I wanted to focus on is if you only looked at the emotional causes and the frequency, how to improve your frequency statistics, if you just paid attention to those two areas every time you scanned and also looked briefly at the causes, you would be able to improve your energetic health. Those are the most important areas. The very most important one is the emotional causes. If you were to work on what showed up in vitals, what showed up in comprehensive on this report, and the causes, but you never focused in on what the emotional issues were, the amount of improvement would be minuscule as compared to focusing in on those emotions. As you've talked about before so much on the Wednesday calls and in the training, you're being able to use your inner voice. When you start seeing under these body system reports that there's just all types of emotions that are affecting every single system, that should be a big red flag heads up that you should be listening to your inner voice and using it probably at least twice a day, just to get to the root of those emotions and to start to be able to manage them and see an improvement in energetically in the emotional field. So this person here, what I did on these reports was went through and numbered some of the basic themes so that you'd be able to see that by the time you went through all 11 of the systems that we have here today, that the important thing is to look for themes. So on this first one with digestive frequency statistics, it came up under the very first thing that was mentioned was managed stress. Okay, stress today is a major cause of problems with digestion and problems with every single system in the body. So under digestive, she came up first with managed stress. Now, if you looked at the most important part of her report, the emotional causes were rage, skepticism, sensitivity, sexual conflict, and unstable feelings. Right there, you have a foundation emotionally for the body to start using up all of her trace minerals and then have it affect every other system of the body. So even if you just had this digestive section, you would be able to have an improvement in the health of the body by paying attention to the emotions that were listed and looking at the different lifestyle suggestions at the bottom.
I want to interject here just for a second. When you do a body system scan, it didn't start with the inner voice. This is looking the opposite direction.
Right.
See, when we do a vital or an inner voice, and then we do a vitals, and then we do a comprehensive, we started with the emotion and how the emotions affected the chemistry and then how it affects the organs. What's unique and really cool about the body system scan is it's looking at from the other direction. Here are the things that are out of range frequency-wise with my organs, my physical, and my chemistry. And these are the emotions that they're aiming towards. What's interesting is the day before we had done a vital scan on this, or an inner voice on this individual, and we did it from a recorded voice. It wasn't live. And they are exactly the same emotions that are coming up when we look at the physical. And like we've talked about in the past, if you don't deal with the emotion and you just try to fix the physical stuff, you'll never get it. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that needed stitches. And so what you just said a second ago about this is the most important thing to look at is 100% accurate. Look always first at the emotions.
So we've established that the emotional causes are the most important thing that you can look at in every single body system report. Then go down to the bottom one, ways to improve. These are lifestyle changes. You start to implement some of these lifestyle changes, you're going to see the other three categories that are the nitty-gritty that comes from vitals and comprehensive start to ebb and flow and change, okay? So on hers, the very first one, like I mentioned before, was manage stress. There were another number of other ones, chewing her food more thoroughly, taking some pre and probiotics, watching the sensitivity of her foods, and considering chiropractic. So now we're going to go on to the second one, and we're going to start to see where there's a theme in what is in each of her reports. But the very first thing that she needs to focus on is managing her stress. Because what's happening is the adrenals are using all of her minerals up to manage her stress, and then that's affecting the ability of her body to break down her food. That's making it where her small and large intestine are inheriting the effects of non-digested properly food. They're having to deal with the toxins. The liver inherits it, has to deal with the toxins. And then that can lead to a whole lot of problems such as joint pain, weight issues, systemic inflammation. The list goes on and on. So under her lifestyle changes, appropriately so the first one that's mentioned is for her to manage her stress.
And this is in her digestive.
Yes.
Okay.
It's showing how the stress is having a major impact on her ability to digest, which also would affect her ability of her immune system to function as well. So the second one that we're going to go on to is the nervous system. And on her report in body systems for nervous system, she came up under sensitivity, self-confidence, relaxation conflict, trauma from her past, and communication difficulty. When you go down to her lifestyle changes that are needed, the first one again, manage stress. The second one, stay well hydrated. The third one, exercise regularly. And the fourth one, get quality sleep. And then she also needed to limit caffeine and alcohol if she was using those.
I know this individual doesn't drink alcohol and doesn't drink any caffeinated beverages. So why don't we explain a little bit, why would that come up on someone we know that doesn't have those issues?
Mainly because caffeine majorly affects the adrenals, and alcohol can depress the system. So in her case, it might be picking out the caffeine and the alcohol because it might be that her adrenals are reacting and showing frequencies as if she was basically a coffee addict. And also with alcohol, if her small intestine and large intestine aren't receiving well-digested food, then the secondary thing that happens in the gut is the food will rot and ferment. And what's fermentation? Fermentation is what's used with all alcoholic products to make the alcohol. So I've mentioned before in some of the calls that it's like having your own little private distillery in your gut that's making minute amounts of alcohol, even if you've never touched any in your entire lifetime. So that's why she would show up with that there. So remember, that's the second time that we've seen managed stress. It's the first time that we've seen hydration, exercise, and sleep. And remember, we're talking about the nervous system. So every time that she feels those emotions that came up, when she's being sensitive to something, when her self-confidence goes down, when she can't relax, when she's subconsciously having an effect from emotional trauma from the past, or even in this case, if the day before she fell down the stairs, or a communication problem, then those emotions are making it where she's got to manage her stress, drink more water, get a little bit of exercise, and sleep better to offset the stress on that nervous system. So now we're going to move on to the lymphatic system. Now the lymphatics, your lymphatics surround every cell in the body. And the lymphatics have a job of transporting nutrients and taking away waste. So think of what we just went over as far as the digestive system. If she's not digesting her food properly, then down the line, the lymphatics are going to inherit quite a bit of waste, okay? And if she's using up all of her minerals because of the stress that was mentioned, the lymphatics need minerals to move properly. So then remember this point, because we're going to talk on it in the next body system point. Without enough minerals, those lymphatics, it's kind of like taking the top of your head off, pouring in a bunch of Jell-O, jumping up and down and letting the lymphatics sit up. So you can imagine if the lymphatics are trying to transport nutrients and take away waste, and it's having to go through a thick lymphatic system, it just makes everything more difficult. And it also sets a person up for systemic inflammation. And ultimately, if the immune system can't take care of stuff, they can start to get cellular changes in the cells. So the lymphatic system is amazingly important. It needs three things, main things, other things too, but three main things to keep moving, and that is exercise, water, and minerals. Now, we've already seen in the first one that she needed to exercise more, she needed to drink more water, and she was under too much stress, which would use up her minerals. So in the digestive system, it set her up for seeing in the lymphatic system the symptoms from the digestive system. So you can start stacking these different systems and seeing where there's a downward frequency flow that is affecting the whole body, starting with emotion, going to stress, and then a trickle-down effect through the whole body. So if we look at her lymphatic system, under the emotions, the first one, anxiety, next, stubbornness, next, sleep conflict, next, honesty conflict, and next, spiritual balance. I think it's important to point out at this point that it's not necessarily that everybody owns the emotions that come up. It can be that somebody in her life doesn't have a spiritual balance, and it keeps affecting her emotionally. Or maybe somebody at her work or her family or friends isn't always honest, and every time she's up against that, it affects her emotionally.
Good point.
Okay. Stubbornness. It could be her, if she's married, it could be her husband. It could be one of her kids. It could be a workmate. It just could be, it could even be from the past, somebody having been very stubborn and having it affect her at this point in time. So if we look down at what her lifestyle changes need to be, it's lymphatic massage. That would help to get the lymphatics moving some. Exercise regularly. That's the second time we've seen exercise. Increased hydration. That's the second time we've seen increased hydration. Next, support the immune system. If the nutrients in the waste aren't moving properly, the immune system is going to be compromised. And the last one, increased trace minerals. Why? Right there, she's got exercise, hydration, and trace minerals. That's the three main things that the lymphatic system needs to do its job. So it's really important that those came up for her. But at the same time, even more important, she needs to look at the emotions that are lending itself towards those not functioning properly energetically.
So you can start to see the trends. You can start to see a pattern develop here. Continue.
So next we're going to talk on the circulatory system. Under circulatory system, the emotions she came up for was love, shock, money conflict, impact of abuse, and communication conflict. You can even start to see a similarity between the emotions in each system coming up, different aspects of the emotions, which would help her to narrow down exactly what she needed to work on, or where she may need to set a proper boundary with somebody in her life that's affecting her. So here again, the emotions are the most important thing. You're going to see what came over from vitals. You're going to see the body parts to be concerned about. You're going to see some of the causes as far as vitamins or genetics or whatever. But working on those emotions and making the lifestyle changes, you'll start to see those other areas that are more the nitty-gritty of what's going on with body parts and systems. You'll see those start to change as well.
And the thing is when you're looking at these other, the circulatory from vitals and comprehensive and causes, these are things that can change throughout the day. Remember, we're looking at the frequency, not the chemistry. And so if you just ate or you're not well hydrated, these things can change from one scan to the next. But the emotions and the lifestyle changes always follow that same trend. So that's why it's important to pay attention to the emotions and then look at the lifestyle changes.
So if we look down here under the lifestyle changes, it's kind of interesting. It's the first one's quit smoking. She's never smoked in her life. It could be that she was around secondhand smoke when she was a child. Maybe she worked at a job, worked in a restaurant or someplace before there was no smoking in those areas when she was younger. Or it could be that she's eating a lot of foods that have nicotine in them. And so it would come up energetically as quit smoking, as if she was getting nicotine as a prime source from the smoking when she's never touched it. The second one that she had here was increased hydration. That's the third time that we've seen water come up. It came up for digestive, it came up for the lymphatics, and now it's coming up for the circulatory system. The next one's exercise regularly. That's the third time that's come up. Then maintain a healthy weight and omega-3 fatty acids. So you think of it with the bloodstream. If she's dehydrated, your blood relies on volume. And a lot of the volume in the blood you have to drink enough water. But here's another interesting thing. In the lymphatics, if the lymphatics get super thick and they get really congested, in order for that blood to get through the arterial system, especially the large arteries, it has to increase the pressure to get the walls to push out against the lymphatics for the blood to go through. So what's the person going to all of a sudden have? High blood pressure.
That's right.
Okay. So a lot of times, it's not with everybody, but a lot of times energetically, if they're showing up digestion emotions, lymphatic emotions, circulation emotions, the minerals are being used up, the food's not digesting, the lymphatics are inheriting some of the toxins, they get thick, they push against the arteries, all of a sudden they've got it where they're being told they have to go on high blood pressure medication or whatever. In a lot of those situations, if they work on the emotions, if they get some hydration, if they take more minerals, if they exercise regularly, the lymphatics get where they're moving properly again. And then at that point, there's no need for the extra pressure. So then the blood pressure goes down. Right. So emotions, again, can be one of the main criteria on why somebody's even having blood pressure issues.
Exactly.
Next, we're going to go on to the endocrine system. You could do a 12-hour easily presentation just on the endocrine system because
we're not going to.
We're not yet. I could talk that long, but no, we're not going to. Endocrine system is so important to the whole body. In this case, she showed up for stubbornness, self-expression, self-destruction, unstable feelings, and spiritual balance. Here again is where it's just so important to realize that this person's actually very spiritual. They're just a very lovely person. Some of these could be people that are in her life where their attitude right now is just really affecting her quite a bit. Under what she needed to change, the first one was improved sleep. That's the second time improved sleep has showed up. Eat healthy fats. We just saw that she needed some omegas in the last one. Reduce toxicities. The body's not digesting. There's going to be a lot of toxicities in the body. Exercise regularly. That's the fourth time exercise regularly has come up. And eat enough protein. She might actually be eating enough protein, but what happens if the body's not breaking it down? then it's not going to reassemble it into amino acids properly where it can be used. So sometimes it's not a lack of protein as much as seeing if the person's even breaking down what they're eating
That's
to
right.
begin with. So the endocrine system, if she's not getting enough sleep, if she's not exercising, if she's under a ton of stress, there again, those adrenals that are part of the endocrine system are going to be struggling. That in turn, without enough minerals, because of the adrenals, the hormones can't be made properly. Without minerals, the stomach can't make enough hydrochloric acid to activate the pepsin, and the list just goes on and on. So here again, managing her emotions is going to have a major impact on her digestion, on her lymphatics, on her endocrine system. Everything's going to be affected by those emotions that she's going through. Next, we're going to do respiratory. Under respiratory, she came up under hardness, rejection, feeling lost, impact of abuse, and suppressed feelings. Respiratory, the adrenals, the lungs, and the heart are right on a straight line. They all work together very intricately. Under lifestyle changes, she came up under stay well hydrated. That's the fourth time that she's come up as not having enough water. The next one was exercise regularly. That's the fifth time she's come up that she's not getting enough exercise. Practice deep breathing. I think in society today, we can say that a lot of us bunny breathe up here. She needs to get more oxygen deep down into her lungs. And they've actually done studies on it and found that just actually sitting and just taking a few deep breaths, really deep breaths, it calms the adrenals, calms the nervous system. It has a trickle-down effect on helping the whole body just with deep breathing. So imagine the change on her body if she just did some deep breathing to help the lungs, to calm the nervous system. If she got more exercise, which inherently is going to get more oxygen in the system as well. And if she drank more water so that everything worked better. If she exercised regularly and she did deep breathing, but her body was still completely dehydrated, the system's not going to work as well because it's not going to be able to take away the waste factor from her exercising more regularly. So it's all very intricately connected when you look at these reports. Start looking at those themes.
It's like, you can have your car with a full tank of gas, but no oil in the engine. You've got enough gas to get you where you need to go, but your engine's not going to make it because it doesn't have the nutrient in there to keep it lubricated. Same thing here.
I would consider the gas to be the fuel, but I'd consider the radiator to be the water.
There we go.
You need more water and adequate water in there too. So the next one is musculoskeletal. Okay. She came up under, first one, stress. Next one, hysteria. Next one, hostility, money conflict, and conflict of interest. When you look under her lifestyle changes, she needed to, the first one, increase hydration. That's the fifth time she's come up with needing to drink more water, okay? The next one is do strength training. The fourth one was regular stretching. So the two combined would be the sixth time she's come up as needing to exercise more. So then you'll notice the third one in between the strength training and the stretching was eat lots of vegetables. Now, why would the muscles in the body frequency-wise be calling out for eating more vegetables? Because vegetables are one of your main mineral sources. So she would want to eat lots more vegetables, but at the same time, as we've mentioned before, using the Solex Gold to get the minerals would be of just an excellent addition for her to be able to do that. Now, look back on what we just talked about. If she has more minerals from vegetables and Solex Gold, her lymphatics are going to start to move better. Her nervous system's going to start functioning better. Her stomach's going to start making more hydrochloric acid and activate the pepsin, which means she'll digest better, which means the gut won't be inheriting all the toxins. And just that loop with the vegetables and the Solex Gold could help all of those systems that we've already talked about.
Perfect.
Okay, so here we are on number 8, connective tissue. Her emotions were agony, anger, impatience, mental weakness, self-expression. Under the lifestyle changes that she needed to make try yoga. That was the first one. And the second one was daily cardio. So here we are, the 7th time that her body is saying exercise. She's not moving. Okay. And this isn't just because of the day before. She in general just is not getting movement. And as we considered before, her lymphatics your blood has a pump, the heart. Your lymphatics don't have a pump. You're the pump by moving. So in her case, yes, her heart is pumping her blood, but her movement is allowing her lymphatics to be stagnant. So she needs to get that movement. The lymphatics is a series of valves, and they just bloop, 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 bloop when there's movement. And so she needs to get that movement in order to circulate her lymphatics, which is then going to help her excrete her waste and is also going to help her take in nutrients. And it's starting to show up in her connective tissue between all of the body parts, the effect of it. So that is something that's really important for her, is that exercise. The third one, stay well hydrated. This is the 6th time that she's come up as not being well hydrated. You add that to the not exercising, and you can start to see where every single system we already talked about is going to have a problem. So really, really important to her. Supplement with collagen and vitamin C. Vitamin C is a precursor for collagen working. And then the collagen is going to allow, women think of it as wrinkles, right? But it actually in the body has a lot to do with the elasticity of the artery walls. It has a lot to do with the elasticity of the connective tissue. It's just a major, major component for the body to function well, is to have that elasticity. But the vitamin C is really important to take with the collagen in order to have it work right. And then it just had a further point on what foods that she should eat that would be rich in vitamins and minerals. Really, another point on that hydration. Remember that book that you recommended on water? What an excellent book! If you can read that book. Well,
there's several good books on water out there right now, and we put them up. The body's many cries for water is one. I can't remember the other ones right off the top of my head, but we'll put them up on the screen here, the names of the books. Every one of those are good. And, it's not just water, but the quality of the water we drink. Are we drinking good water? And tea doesn't count as water. Coffee doesn't count as water. Soda definitely doesn't count as water. So it's really good, healthy, clean water that we need to be drinking. So we'll put the names of those books up here so that you can see them. But every one of them has nuggets in it that are going to be really helpful.
One of them, I think it had 46 reasons for drinking water, and it was phenomenal going through it and seeing all the things that it listed. A couple of the points that he made that really stuck out in my mind is water is the glue that holds the body together. And then water is the currency of the body. It's what the body uses. I mean, think of if you have a bankrupt bank account, not going to do you much good. So it's the currency of the body. That's why it'll come up so much in these reports. It's not just a transport system. It's way more valuable than just a transport system.
A few weeks ago too, Kai did a whole section on one of the Wednesday calls of the importance of water. And he goes into the detail. And so I would recommend you go back and watch that video, because he talks about the 4 stages of water and how they all have an effect on us. So it's interesting that in every one of these pages, except for one, hydration came up. And not only did it come up, it was either in the top 1 or 2. So hydration is important. So
next is the urinary system. Here she has shock, fear of failure, self-destruction, suppressed feelings, trauma from the past. You can even start seeing a theme in a lot of the emotions, as well. And when you start seeing those themes in the emotions in all the different parts of the body, it starts to really impress on you to get them to use their inner voice, and also to, sometimes they may need to get some professional help for some of their feelings, just so that they can talk things out and start to make sense themselves out of what's going on. So under urinary, you got it. Number 1, stay well hydrated. She's just not drinking anywhere near enough water. The second one for urinary, exercise regularly. So the third one was chiropractic. If her spine's not aligned and she's got subluxation down in that pelvic sacrum area, it could be that the blood flow isn't going around properly to the urinary area. So here again, consider chiropractic care. And then I thought it was interesting, monitor blood sugar and blood pressure. So here again, she could be one of those ones that all of those other systems that aren't functioning properly are having a major impact on the lymphatics, and it could be that she's starting to get some high blood pressure
on the heart.
Right. So there's the urinary system. Next, we have human cell and mitochondria. Under human cell and mitochondria, she had happiness, stubbornness, self-confidence, self-destruction, uncertain about love. And her lifestyle changes that she needed were reduce stress. That's the third time that was mentioned. Get more quality sleep. That was the third time that sleep was mentioned. Healthy diet, well-rounded supplementation. We already saw in other areas where she's not getting enough minerals, isn't, absorbing the full benefit of her food. And then the last one, exercise daily for oxygen, crucial to her mitochondria. That's the 9th time she came up as needing to exercise. And those mitochondria, they're your powerhouses.
That's right.
They do your ATP production, and they're one of the major reasons why in your body you're going to have enough energy.
That's right.
So that very, very crucial for her. Again, stress, sleep, and exercise to help those mitochondria. They're suffering from the lack of those things. And human cell, you've got the whole body there. So the whole body is suffering from stress, sleep, her need to change her diet, the need to absorb better, and the need for more oxygen by exercising regularly. Last but not least for today is chromosomes. This one to me, is just always fascinating, because when you scan and optimize and look at what your chromosomes need, you're basically looking at your aging or anti-aging.
Yep.
And so this is a really important part as well. Under that, for emotions, she came up with stubbornness, perfection, social conflict, suppressed feelings, and a self-esteem conflict. And when you look at what her main causes, lifestyle-wise, that she has to change for her chromosomes in the body, which is going to have just a major effect on quality of life, length of life, everything. Number 1, reduce stress. That's the 4th time she came up for reduced stress. Number 2, exercise regularly. That's the 10th time she came up as needing exercise. Number 3, stay well hydrated. It's the 8th time she came up as needing more water. The next one, get quality sleep. That's the 4th time that her sleep, which really is when the body does a lot of repair.
That's right.
Came up in her reports. And then the last one was maintain healthy weight, that she just needs to. We saw that previously with her joints, that she needed to lose some weight. So I think that you can see from going over all of these reports, focus on the emotions and then start looking for themes. If you take that report and just go through and start numbering how often something shows up, you're going to very easily come up with the top 3 or 4 things that somebody needs to do in their lifestyle, as well as managing emotions, what they can do for changes that is going to majorly have their frequencies in their body go up to more of that gold standard for health. And they're going to start seeing the physical benefits as well. So it's just a really good way to use these body system reports. And yes, the information in the other 3 categories that we didn't go over is very important also, but doing the emotions and the causes is going to directly affect those.
Exactly. This is really good information. I hope that you were able to grab and gather some nuggets from this. Your body systems report, your body reports give you so much information so quickly, and it really distills it down to, what do I need to do right now? What are the top 3 things that someone needs to do? And in this one, water, sleep, exercise, eat better. We all could probably benefit from all 3 of those, but here it's showing directly how her emotional state is affecting the other areas of her body. And here are the things that we can do to fix those. Again, number 1, fix the emotions. Change your lifestyle, change the people that are causing you to disrupt that. This is important. Deborah does such a wonderful job at teaching, and we appreciate this. She's going to go into great detail on the whole body system report in phase 2, and even a little bit more in phase 3. But do you see what you have in your hands right now? The tool that you have gives you a real quick snapshot of where you are and what you can do. And like Deborah touched on a second, we didn't talk about the other 3 areas on that report because those change all the time, but they will be impacted incredibly powerfully by just taking a look at those, the emotion and the lifestyle changes to help put that back together.
Another point, Loran, that I hadn't mentioned through all of these and just came in my mind when you were talking was the value too of going into their Cephi and matching up some of the emotions that you can go to in states in those different categories and running them possibly through the night for the main ones that are showing up, just to give that extra little support for the emotions. There's a lot in there in the Cephi that they could use to back up that they're using their inner voice and making the lifestyle changes. So then you start to put together all the pieces in your scanner as well.
Yep, that's right. Deborah, thank you for your help today on this. And I hope this was helpful for you today.
Okay, stay there. I'm going to have to put the Wednesday call really fast.
Both of us?
Yeah.
All right.